Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this, our 32nd of hopefully many episodes of bardadvice. My name is Charles Chaz Yazik, the DM, the Bard, however you may know me. And on this podcast, bardadvice, I do my best to answer your questions about advice questions about D&D, TTRPGs, and life in general. I hope that everybody's doing well this Friday evening. It's been a pretty solid week for me, I suppose. Hope everybody's doing well. I see a lot of the old regulars and maybe some new folks, so welcome. Thank you. At the top of the show, we like to remind everyone to please send all emails for questions, concerns, complaints, compliments, criticisms, etc. to bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. If you want to get some merchandise, you can do so at manshorts.com. And if you'd like to contribute to anything I'm doing musically, i.e. my third album that I'm currently developing, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite times of the week. This 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday when we do this stream here on YouTube. So, we'd also at the beginning of the hour like to thank all of our patrons, our members, our super chatters, and like to remind everyone and thank everyone for liking, commenting, subscribing. Please share and rate the podcast on your respective platform that you listen to. And don't forget to like. Likes are good. If you're in here, give that thumb a smash, because that's helpful for us in the algorithm and such. So, let's get into it. Just finished this week's session. Oh, awesome. This Druid Bard is getting ready to have a future D&D Pathfinder player. Cool. So, let's get into some things, shall we? I guess we can just dive right into Art Corner this week, because I actually do have something planned in spite of what's going on. And just at the top of the hour before we really dive in too deep, this is the special episode that I referenced. And you know, it might have even been on episode 24 that I referenced that 32 would be the special episode. Not sure. Could have been, maybe be. We'll never know. But all of that said, I've got a little cool thing planned towards the end. We'll talk about it in chat. We'll get there. But to start things off for Art Corner this week, I would like to, just because I, by happenstance, stumbled upon it last night, recommend that everyone check out Post Malone's new album, Austin. There are some good songs on there. In particular, Morning and Nova Candy are two of my favorites, but all of them are good, I think. You know, he's a really interesting guy, this Post Malone, because I was always kind of apathetic or indifferent to him, honestly. I was just like, whatever, you know, when he got popular back with White Iverson and stuff. But honestly, since then, I've kind of, you know, I see him every now and then in the news. He seems like a really nice guy. So, and some of his music is really good. I like a lot of it. Not all of it. Some of it I'm like, well, next. But he's a talented guy, and he seems to be nice and genuine, which is harder and harder to find among these people who are quote-unquote rich and famous. So, I don't know. He has a lot of tattoos on his face. I Fall Apart is my favorite track by him. Yeah, I think that he's got a lot of, to say. And I liked what I heard. I'll just say that. So, Austin, that's the name of his album. That's his first name. Post Malone, go grab it. Check it out. Lil Nas X is fantastic. I'm a huge Lil Nas X fan. So, let's get into it, shall we? Question 1. Top of the hour. So, I mentioned that we would have something special that we would talk about towards the end. For this week, we've got the 5 questions and also the cool little thing to go through, as well as just general chat. So, let's dive right in with question number 1. which this week is from Chris. We're starting with Chris this week because I like this question. Chris asks, congratulations, you've been hired by the local Lich to guard his dungeon. Which low-level mob would you be if you could choose? I gave this one some thought, and I'm curious to see what chat's answers are, but I thought about this for way longer than I thought. I've actually thought about it on and off since I first got the question, and this question came from a batch of questions that I got like 2 weeks ago. So it's been kind of like cycling through my head, and I've been going through like pros and cons of different low-level minions, I suppose, because in theory you could be anything, right? Based on how it plays out. But what I put for my final answer is I gotta go with Mimic. I think mimics are so cool, and they're low level. Yeah, they only have like a CR of like 2 or 3, but in particular, I would want to be a mirror mimic. Just because I really love the idea of being able to take an adventurer unawares that way, of them just either investigating or studying the mirror, or, oh man, can you imagine just... What did I put here? I said sitting quietly in wait for a vain bard or a curious artificer. Just chilling as like an intricate mirror at the beginning of a mansion. Yeah, most definitely. That's what I'm doing. I'm going Mimic. But there were some other considerations. I think that I originally thought Kobold, which is so interesting because aren't kobolds just playable now? Or is that what Dragonborn is? Am I thinking that backwards? Because kobolds are pretty cool. I feel like kobolds should just be playable. Gary Ooze. They are playable. Good. As they should be. So my instinct when I first got the question and was thinking about it was Kobold, because they didn't used to be just playable. They were just a monster in the monster manual. And so if you asked me this question 15 years ago, I would have said Kobold because they're cool. But, you know, that's why they're playable now, I guess. Be a mirror mimic and write some riddle about reflection on the wall. They won't check to see if the door's locked. Most definitely. Or I was thinking that even maybe you could like, it could even be where you just kind of whisper someone over. Maybe they don't even know that you exist. Oh, did Twisted Metal already come out? I saw a clip from it the other day. That is going to, I feel like, be a weird trip down nostalgia lane. And by the way, I think we're going in that direction anyway. Did anybody see that? Everybody see that thing that Mattel's going to make like 15 movies? We already know Nintendo's doing it, right? So is this what we're doing? We're going into like the gaming era of media when it comes to storytelling. I'm not opposed to it. I don't know how you're going to make an Uno movie, but, you know, good luck to you, I guess. I mean, at least Twisted Metal is like, oh, well, there's explosions. So even if there's no plot, it'll be cool. But it's like, Uno? How do you make Uno interesting? No, not Twisted Metal Game River. Is it a show? Is it a show or is it a movie? It's a show. And what? It's on Apple or something? Yeah, I've not seen it, but I did see a clip from it. It's kind of interesting. It's like, I want to check it out. I'd be interested in it. Well, we got a little off topic here, but Mimic is the answer. Mimic, Mirror, Twisted Metal, Sweet Tooth. That's what I'd be. Peacock, of course. It's on the one of 30 that I don't have. Oh, maybe I'll just get a free trial just to watch it. And go old school with it. Peacock of all places. Yeah, that is kind of bizarre. You would expect that from something like HBO or even Apple, but Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Chris. I'm not sure what other people would want to be if they were if they were. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Gray ooze, myconoid, or a myconid. Is that what it is? Myconid. Bag of weasels gets ridiculous quickly. Swarm of rot grubs, a displacer beast. Beholders are probably my favorite. I've talked before about that. Beholders are probably my favorite monsters, but they're not really like a mob. So I went with Mimic. They're potentially a mob, but a mirror mimic's a problem, I think. So thanks for the question, Chris. Let's keep moving because we got another one. This next question is from Casey. Casey asks, hey, love the pod. Did you see the recent announcement for Mirrorscape? It's an augmented reality virtual tabletop. Do you have any thoughts on this tech and the future of AR and virtual tabletops in general? You know, I didn't even realize that I was going to be talking about a mirror mimic and then go right into the Mirrorscape thing. But, you know, could be simulation stuff. This is the Mirrorscape thing for anybody who doesn't know what it is, because I didn't until I looked it up after I got the question. It's a mixed reality development company that's based in Los Angeles. They are creating revolutionary augmented reality platform for TTRPGs. This is from their website, by the way. So it's the first of its kind of visualization tool. It delivers an aesthetic 3D experience using the magic of AR you already own on your mobile device. So essentially, I guess it's using this. I guess that its goal is to become this new accompaniment tool. I don't know. I see value in it. I don't think that it's outright crazy. But I also, it's like, well, what are we doing here with that? Are we combining remote play with in-person play? Essentially, that's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, because, and I will say, there's some real value in the convenience of being able to visualize the thing in front of you without having to worry about setup or cleanup or just general, you know, maintaining of or maintenance of. But on that, that said, there's just as much value in having those tactile things. And some would argue more. There's going to be people that are like, well, no, I want my minis. That's like half the fun. It's like painting the minis and getting them ready and setting them up and yada, yada, yada. And that's totally understandable and valid. So it's tricky. It's tricky business. And I don't know if this one will be the one. I mean, no shade to Mirrorscape. Certainly wish them the best in the development of whatever their tool is. But it's probably going to be from somebody like Apple that comes out is like, especially if they buy Disney, you know? They just come out and they're just like, okay, so here's what D&D looks like now. But maybe that's what Wizards is planning with one, is that it's going to be there. It's going to be there all on the phone. It'll all just be on your phone, and there'll be AR stuff, and then there'll be stuff that's like your character sheet, and then maybe even VR stuff. But another 110-degree week. Yeah, dude, everything's on fire, huh? Including our ocean in Florida. It's like 100 degrees. It's like a hot tub. That's weird. I've been seeing stuff on TikTok. I've been seeing people with their shoes melting in Arizona and California and stuff because it's like 117 degrees. Don't have to tell me how hot it is. I'm in Florida and I mowed this week. And yowza, it's rough out there. I've got sensitive skin. I don't like being out there. It's too dang hot. Truck, you work in a truck, you were unloading, it hit 120 degrees inside. Yeah, I definitely believe that because I saw another video of this dude who was running around with a temperature thing. I guess they're called thermometers or something else, probably more accurate, but he's going around and checking the different vehicles. And the one that I saw was the difference between a FedEx and a UPS truck. Obviously, you know what to expect, but it was a significant difference. It was like 25, 30 degrees of a difference. So, is the ocean actually on fire? I can't tell at this point. What's a joke? Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Also, the whole thing with the aliens, which I think is hilarious only because it seems to me that if it was the government's goal to convince people that aliens didn't exist, it appears they've been going about it all wrong, because I've seen more people doubting aliens in the last week than in my entire life leading up to this. Like, the amount of people that are just like, oh, well, if they're saying that they're real, then they can't be real, right? And it's like, how did we get here? What timeline is this? What is happening? By the way, as if there were 4K video of an alien, there still wouldn't be 100 million people in this country that would be like, nah, it's not real. So it's like, whatever, man. Take yard work. Yeah, I imagine, River. Jeez. Yeah, I wouldn't want to swap you there. But my thoughts about about AR and VTT in general is I think that we're kind of in the arms race for that stuff, and also the Wild West, not just with TTRPGs, but I think with the way that we are consuming entertainment in general is going to be changing a lot. So I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. I don't think that it looks completely like this. Like I said, I don't think that it's going to be a world where it's like, oh, Mirrorscape's going to take over everything, because, whether it's that specific company or another one, eventually that will become the thing. There will become, the standard will become, okay, this is how we play D&D now. And again, some people aren't going to stand for that, but that isn't any different than it is now, right? Like, there's people that just like don't play 5e, and that's valid. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. But I will say, and this kind of goes to an article that Pirate had sent me that maybe I've not had a chance to fully dig into. Maybe we can talk about that next week. But from what I could tell, just from my brief scan of it, it seems to tackle the same sort of sentiment about where we're going with tabletop RPGs and the changes that it's making with how it used to be, because there's a lot to be said about being able to physically spend time with your friends and family and being in a space where you can see and feel the dice and the character sheets and the books and stuff, and that's all cool too. But and again, it comes back to something that we echo a lot on this podcast, which is like game expectation and experience expectation in general. So it's really just about like what you're looking for. So, that's the kind of thing that drives me crazy about these people that are like, oh man, I can't believe, did you see what they're doing to D&D now? You can't even do this anymore. And it's like, what are you talking about? What, is there like a guy that's going to like fine you or like slap you upside the head or something if you do this thing? What do you mean you can't do? I can do whatever I want when it comes to role play stuff. I always have and will continue to do so. What the status quo is in terms of like mass commercial production should have no bearing on how you're playing the game. But that's just, my opinion. But thank you for the question, Casey. AR in general, I think it's going to be interesting. That's the short answer. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's probably going to look like this. It's probably going to look like AR stuff, VR stuff, incorporating as much of, you could call it erasing the imagination, at least in terms of what's required to experience the game, certainly visually. Because up to this point, there was no real way to do that. Media has been so difficult to produce up to this point, and it's not anymore. By the way, that ship sailed. We can see that with what's going on with SAG-AFTRA. the production of media is not going to be as big of a task as it once was. And so now then we'll just have to start looking at other tasks and other things to do. Wizards police are coming for me. Yeah. Bring them on, man. It's whatever. Well, Wizards already knows. If they even know I exist, they already know what time it is with me. I've made my stances pretty clear publicly. I know. And every time the Pinkerton thing gets brought up, I still just kind of roll my eyes at just how insane that is. But, you know, money is a hell of a drug. It will make people do weird things. People do very weird things in the name of cash. Some guy in armor with a chicken will come and smack you. Yeah, that'd be cool. At least make it fun, right? If I'm gonna be punished for having an opinion, like make it entertaining. All right. So let's go into this one. And, oh, yeah, I actually did have some good notes on this one. Well, thank you for Casey asking about the AR stuff. I just don't think we have enough information about it. We'll just have to see. But I'm interested about it. People check out Mirrorscape. The next question is from Raven, or Call Me Raven. Call Me Raven asks, first, I love how you introduced me as Call Me Raven. You are awesome. For my question, what are some tips to make a large party easier to manage? We have 9 players, yikes, all close friends and family, but I feel overwhelmed sometimes. Yeah, I'm surprised you don't feel overwhelmed always, especially in large combat situations. Yeah, I'll take any tips. Thank you. Well, thank you, Call Me Raven. That is a lot, 9 players. So I made a list of things. And we can talk about them, and then we can also see what chat says. But here's what my notes are. Initiative trackers are a must. You could limit turn time. Consider one of those board game hourglass apparatus. You know what I'm talking about? Or even a timer, just like on the phone. But if you're going to do a timer, make it fun, not annoying. Encourage planning. Get 1 or 2 of the players to assist DM, or even just like assist track combat and damage and stuff. So no meta, but I mean, it sounds like you have trusted people in the party and it's like friends and family. So meta's probably not that big of a deal. Just a reminder. And encourage pre-planning. I already said that. Well, I said encourage planning, but encourage pre-planning. Pre-planning, I think, is huge in your case because there's just so many people. So if you have an established, you know, quote-unquote rule set and an established quote-unquote hierarchy in terms of like people that you can have to help you in terms of calculation and managing data, that's good. So having all of that stuff settled and understood going into the session is going to be a must, I think, for it to work in terms of mitigating the stress. And communicate to your people that you're feeling burnt out. And I assure you they will offer their assistance. So if you're anything like me, you might be someone who takes on too much. In hopes to please. And that's a nice quality because people like that. People like it when other people are nice to them and try to cater to them. But to your point about getting burnt out, you don't want that. So talk to them and let them know, like, guys, this is a lot. And I imagine that they'll be like, I'm kind of surprised, honestly, nobody's not already been like, yo, can we help in any way? But maybe they have, and you've been like, no, I'm good. But it sounds like you're stressed. So the first thing I would do, and it's, you know, it's ad nauseum advice on this pod, but I think it's good advice. Number one, I'd talk to the party and talk to everybody about it and just let them know, like, hey, guys, just in general, a little stressed out. There's a lot going on here. And then maybe even ask them, because one of them might have a better idea than me and be like, well, because I don't know what your relationships are with these people. Like if you are with these people and you're all like close enough, I don't know, maybe you guys have your own like inside jokes and stuff that you can somehow use to help that. Let's see what chat's saying, because I've been talking for a while. Flint says split the party of 9 into 2 groups and run them on separate days. That's an option. Although if you want to keep it all the same story, that can get a bit hairy if you're taking from somebody who's run separate continuing stories. An hourglass will up the tension and keep your party moving. Let people know when they are about to come up for initiative so they can pre-plan their moves. Yeah, I think with initiatives, like initiative tracking, that's a big thing, especially if it's like visual for the whole table. So if it's just like a stick or something, where they're like magnets or something that you can move, something that's very clear and visible so that it's like, whatever you decide. So whoever's at the top of the poll is next up at initiative. And so that way, instead of waiting for their turn to decide which spell they want to cast, the wizard can see, oh, it's going to be my turn in 2 turns. I need to figure out what I'm doing. That's a thing that can be really helpful. Your chats keep erroring out. What's happening? No, you're good, Nebraska. Pre-planning and don't be afraid to railroad a group that size, because steering the chaos could become impossible when everyone goes a different direction. That's true, yeah. A little bit of an iron fist with railroad stuff, just for the sake of how big the party is. Give them Voltron mechs so they can combine into 2 giant mechs, but maybe giving one a vehicle that can be a platform for others to... Okay, Duncan, that sounds like you're complicating it. That makes it more complicated. Clothespin. Oh. Yeah, clothespins. That's a perfect thing. That's an easy do. Just a stick and some clothespins. And you could just mark them with markers, different colors, or just write the names or whatever. Dual DMing doesn't work. Tried it twice, failed twice. Well, I'm sorry to hear that was your experience, Mike. I don't know that that necessarily means it doesn't work, but I will say that I imagine it's very difficult, so I don't know if I would go with that first. But I would say just talk to them. If you talk to those in this order, I'd talk to them. I would solidify a way, if you don't already have one, to have visual initiative tracking, and also, yeah, because I feel like you'll eliminate a lot of the issues when you bring it up. I feel like just raising the issue will get rid of a lot of issues, because once they're aware, you would hope that they would try and make an effort to speed this thing along because they're aware. But if anything, it's just opening the conversation to be had in the first place, so that you can kind of put that out there so they can figure out how to help you with that. And then also see if you can enlist 1 or 2 people to kind of assist with tracking all of that stuff when it comes to damage and stuff. And bring an air horn, because when they get off topic, the chatter will be loud. Double DM'd a few times where a buddy ran through the story and pushed the narrative while I ran encounters, random rolls, and treasure. Wow. Split the party so only half of them are in a given combat. Oh, that's an interesting thought, too. From Bean. If you're coming up on something and it's like, oh man, I'm not trying to roll these 9 initiatives. It's just like, split them in half, cut them off. Come up with something. Maybe it's 117 degrees in their world and they need to go inside for air conditioning. Captain Planet rings actually make a lot of sense. Limiting your party size is entirely okay and in fact very healthy. That's true too. There is something to be said about that. 9 is pretty big. It's pretty big. And I'm the kind of person, it's just because I'm a big personality. But I'm the kind of person that would probably not have fun in a 9-person party just because I feel like I wouldn't get enough attention. I mean, that's insane to say out loud, but it's genuine. It's true. Like I'm a performer. I like to entertain. And while I don't like to completely bogart all of the attention and information, and focus, it's fun to make people laugh and do fun, cool stuff with your friends. And if there are more people that you have to kind of wait on for their stuff to resolve, that gets difficult. So build your dungeons with 2 entrances that have them that have to be entered at the same time, sending them in 2 different directions. Yeah. So then only some of them are fighting, and then you resolve that fight while the other ones are doing a puzzle, and then you just switch them. Then they move on to their next room. Oh, that'd be fun. Put them in a labyrinth and send them separate get them split in half so that they're in separate directions, and then just offset it where it's like while this one's in combat, this one's doing a puzzle. And then now this one moves on from the puzzle room, and whoops, they're in combat. Meanwhile, the puzzle people have stumbled onto some mystery that they have to solve, Just something to think about. Go ahead and roll up an alternate PC. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Raven, or call me Raven. The next question is from my mom, because she asked a couple questions a couple weeks ago, and one of them she'd put I thought was interesting, we could talk about. And I'd be kind of interested to see what other people's responses are to this. But my mom asked, what are your best bard qualities? Okay, first of all, I think this is a little bit of a misdirect question because you know these things as my mom. But in my opinion, I think that I've got 2. This is what it is for me. And I feel like that this is my skills across the board in life. Comedy and inspiration. In that order. So making people laugh and encouraging people to create their own art. Because, art is just thoughts assigned to a medium. So make it. That's kind of what But yeah, comedy and inspiration. And maybe words, just, I don't know, but my writing, I guess. Just in general, which kind of encompasses, I think, what I do with rap stuff and musical stuff and scripts and stuff. Hostage negotiation. There's no way I'd be able to handle a job like that. Way too intensive. I don't ever know what's going on. Bar mom vice. Yeah. Rap skills. I was just saying, do you like the attention to be on you? Yeah. That's true. See, that's like a perfect segue into this question, I guess, because now we're talking about me and how great I am. Yeah, I think that I am my mom's art. Well, that's a nice thing to say. And I agree with that, actually. And I think I said something to her recently, that sentiment. Like, everything that I am is because of her. I mean, at a minimum, she kept me alive. But the reality is, like, she encouraged me to become the artist that I am today. So she was, I think, rather instrumental in that. So thanks, Mom. That's why I'm these things, I think, because she made me feel like I could be. So that's a thing. You made me understand more of the game and your partner. Well, that's nice. Best bard quality is that you tend not to be near violence if you can help it. That actually is a really good bard quality. Modesty, not me. Don't play a bard if you can't handle center stage. That's true. That's true. Yeah. There is a bit, it's a weird thing doing this thing all the time for so long. I feel like I've been I've been an independent artist in the sense of not having to have answer to a quote unquote boss for 4 or 5 years now. But I've been making art since I was a kid, so. And I'm making a new thing that I'm just so excited about, but I've not put myself in a position where I can share too much of it. But making this thing, it's really cool. I'm developing it. It's going to be awesome. So the 5e lore bard is so broken. There's a lot of stuff in 5e that's busted. D&D is the stage this introvert sings karaoke on. Yeah, there's a lot to say about that statement, by the way. I think that there's a lot. I have a lot of friends that are, and believe it or not, I'm an introvert. I'm extroverted. I'm an extroverted introvert. An introverted extrovert. I don't remember which way it goes. I can do it, the social thing, and I do like to do it, but it also takes a lot of energy. And if pressed, I'd probably just stay home, whatever the thing is. So that's one of the things that's great about this podcast is that I just get to do it in my house. I'm at my desk, so I'm already here working. I just turn the camera on and start talking to people. It's way easy, low maintenance, easy to do. Your mom encouraged you and your brother to be yourselves, but be respectful. Well, most definitely. You got to be nice to people. Work hard and be nice to people. Like the druid who can summon pixies and turn the entire party into T-Rexes. Yeah. Mustang plays a mean Johnny Be Good, I'm sure. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Mom. I think that answered it pretty good. I said, I don't know why I put this in here. I guess that these are different portions of an idea. Having the idea, planning the idea, and execution and application of the idea. Maybe that's what I was like trying to see which of those I was best at. Probably not the execution piece. Probably the planning portion I'm really good at. Introverts can be on and very social, but tend to get tired of social situations and need time alone to recharge. Yeah, me for sure. I need recharge time. But I think I just naturally have a little bit more in the tank, I guess. Oh, thank you, Nebraska, for the re-up of the Dragon Slayer. Much appreciated. Work hard and be nice. Yeah, that's a good shirt. I have a keychain that says work hard and be nice to people. All right, let's move on to our fifth and final question of the evening before we get into the cool stuff. This question is from Salty Cupcake. That was the name. Let's see. Hi there. Hi there. I'm Salty Cupcake, a long-time devout cleric on the Sword Coast and the MMO Neverwinter on PlayStation. I've always liked D&D to some extent. I guess I made my own little homebrews as a child with my Lego men, etc. Didn't we all? But in New Zealand, tabletop D&D is not really very popular due to how behind in pop culture we were before the internet. I've gotten the D&D Beyond App, as I understood that was your ticket in, like the registry number you get from Wizards when you sign up to Friday Night Magic the Gathering tournaments. Excuse me, but I am unsure of how the games work. Amongst various other character building issues I have opted to ignore for now, as they seem kind of redundant if I can't even find people to play with. Is the app just a pocket version of a character select screen, or can I actually engage with other players and explore something like the Asarak's Tomb of Annihilation using this app like an interactive chat group? I understand this is probably a seemingly silly question, but I'm really kind of just jumping in blind down here in Middle-earth. LOL. Well, thank you for the question, Salty Cupcake. First of all, there are no silly questions, only silly people and silly geese. But yes, so what you've downloaded, from what I understand, because I don't even have it, I just looked it up, the Beyond app earlier, It is essentially just your character sheet. The app assumes that you have a game already going. So it's just going to serve as reference. It's going to serve as your character sheet you can use it for. I guess that there's some other stuff you can do with it, but I don't at the moment know of there being any way for there to be for you to play with people through the app while using the app. Right? Am I wrong about that? Let's look this up. I looked it up earlier. We can look it up again and we can see what people in chat say, but this is D&D Beyond. So it looks like it's just the character sheet, it rolls the dice, you have your spells, and you have your books. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to have a game through there. That said, it might be an option in the future, and maybe even the near future, because like we talked about earlier with where VTT is heading, and with all the cool AR fancy stuff, you very well soon might be able to. But as far as I know, at the moment, there is no way to play through that app. It is merely a reference app. Now, I don't know if there is an app for what you would be looking for. My recommendation for playing D&D would be to visit a local FLGS, although I don't even know if you've got one there. Or, you know, looking online, going to Reddit. I don't know. Let me see. Let me just search the Play Store and let's see if I can find D&D, play D&D. This is just like, yeah, I don't think that there's anything really on here. At least, and I have Android, so I don't have Apple. With the latest update to Foundry, only the PC info from D&D Beyond works. None of the monster stats work, and it's been really annoying the last 2 weeks until they get the text sorted out. WotC's making its own VTT for now. You need to use Roll20, Foundry, or one of the others and find a game. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of that earlier and just say that. So what you want to do, Salty Cupcake, in my opinion, is go to Roll20. On Roll20, you'll be able to find a game and play. The D&D Beyond app is just for you to keep track of your stuff, like through their specific IP and their game. But like on Roll20, it's essentially like an open kind of, you can run multiple kinds of RPGs on there. So, and I have, so. Just got introduced to your channel. Well, welcome to the party. Go watch some videos. You can hang out here with us while we finish up this episode of Bard Advice. We've got music, all kinds of comedy, haha videos. Welcome to the channel. Online game night might be the best path. Even if not on New Zealand time, there has to be another time zone that will mix well. Yes, online game, Roll20. There's probably like forums on there, right? Let me just go look. I can just do it right now. I haven't been on there in a minute, but yeah, with join a game. That's one of the things you can click on. So, and you can even search by what you're looking for and when it is. So I would, here, what I'll do is I'll put this in the description of the video here. So Roll20. So I put a link to the Roll20 in the description of this video on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, you can do so. I wish you the best in finding a game. Apologize for the confusion with the app. I'm sure that they don't do a very good job of expressing that. That's what's going on. But they probably figure that what's the point of putting effort into either attempting to do that now or explain it away when in 9 months or 18 months we'll be doing this. This will just be the standard. You'll just download. You'll just pay $7 a month to download and to have the app on your phone, and everything's done there. Much prefer in person, especially FLGS, but D&D Beyond was the only option during the lockdown years. True. Yeah, I don't think that you can play on the app itself, but I'd recommend Roll20 or Foundry, but Roll20 seems to be the easiest for you. Best of luck. All right. So, before we get into chat, I talked about a cool thing that I wanted to talk about. And this is actually something that I put together with the AI art. So I've been talking, I've spoken about it on the last few podcasts. I've been doing more stuff with AI art. I'm working on a web comic, but also just in that, just kind of messing around with Midjourney and also Photoshop and just seeing how this stuff works and what you can do with it. And, you know, the background this week I did in there, which is pretty neato, I think. And I made some other things. So these are images that I made for each of the Grail campaigns that were sent in by Jonathan back on episode 24. He sent in the question about Grail campaigns and included a breakdown of his Grail campaigns, which I didn't talk about on the episode. We just talked about the question and move forward. The reason that we didn't is because I wanted to build out some images for these and then share them with everyone else. So here we go with these. These are the Grail campaigns for Jonathan, and I think that these are all pretty cool. So, the Great Pendragon campaign. A decade-spanning campaign where the PCs take the role of Knights of King Arthur's Round Table. It would begin with the death of Uther and Merlin, tasking the PCs with escorting he and an infant Arthur to Lord Ector, who would foster the boy until he came of age. Fast forward 15 years and the young Arthur draws Excalibur from the stone, but must secure his kingdom and unite Britain against the Germanic invaders. The campaign would follow Arthur's reign all the way to the betrayal of Mordred and the Battle of Camlan. Is that what that is? And as the Knights of the Round Table, the PCs would go on quest and fight in Arthur's wars, and can either create their own knight and take on the role of one of the famous knights. Oh, excuse me. They can either create their own knight or take on the role of one of the famous knights. As a campaign that spans the course of 50 years, the PCs would have the opportunity to either play the same character or multiple characters and play the children and even grandchildren of their initial character. I like that a lot and think that that is a really cool idea. And maybe one of your Grail campaigns became one of mine in that process. But the next one is the Mythopoeia campaign. Beginning with a series of one-shots taking place in various parts of my homebrew world, setting up the world of the campaign proper where the PCs would play a party of adventurers and go on an epic quest to save the world from a great evil and become legendary heroes. Each arc of the campaign is structured in seasons, a la Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and would include both the main quest and side quest as the PCs go from first level adventures to 20th level plus heroes. The campaign would offer opportunities of all kinds of playstyles and adventure genres and could potentially go on for years. Also, sounds cool. And I want to do this kind of stuff more where we talk about other people's ideas and their games and stuff, because I just think, you know, that's what this whole community is about, right? Really, it's just a collective of ideas. Anyway, let's talk about the last one. The last one is Agents of Phoenix. Set thousands of years after the Mythopoeia campaign, when magic has largely faded, the PCs would take the role of agents of a Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, Hellboy, or SHIELD-like organization, investigating mystical phenomena and threats. It would be human-only with no full casters, though the PCs could be descended from elves, dwarves, and the like. As they encounter more and more mystical threats, many of which are the last of their kind, they discover a paradigm-changing convergence of power, which could either completely destroy magic as we know it, or restore magic to the new world, ushering in a new epic. So, those were some images that I made with my AI art tools for your Grail campaigns. And you are welcome to... I'm going to send those to you, by the way. I've got them in 2 different formats. But that said, if there's stuff that anybody wants me to make, feel free to send those over to bardadvice@gmail.com, and we can make some images that are, it would essentially be the front of your book if your campaign were a reference book or a reference guide. And the best part, you don't have to worry about the books being charged enough to make it to the end of the session. Wait a minute, what's going on? Oh, we're talking about the difference, I guess the benefit of having physical books. I know I'm late, but I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Welcome, Austin. No problem. We were talking about Austin earlier because that's Post Malone's album that just dropped. So that's where we are with the AI image stuff. I think those are cool. And Jonathan, I'm happy to send those to you. If you want to send me an email and remind me, send it to bardadvice@gmail.com. That'd be pretty cool. Funny coincidence. Yeah, that is pretty weird actually, that we open the pod with us and here we are getting towards the end and here comes Austin. A few of my players use Beyond. I'm not against it. I just don't use it. Would rather spend my hard-earned money on physical books. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I had the disconnect on that, but yeah, you're essentially with the D&D Beyond app not using that in lieu of books. I like physical books too. Which AI do you use? I use Midjourney, but I also have been using Photoshop. What I've discovered in my experience, and there's others, obviously, a bunch. I've heard that OpenAI has one that's not Dolly, that's something different. But I've discovered that Midjourney is a lot better at generating something from nothing. And Photoshop is really, really good at generative work, context of existing image for the purpose of generative work. That's what Adobe's really good at. Content recognition. That's really what it's called. So you can, what I do typically is I will run through my prompts in Midjourney till I find what I'm looking for, and you can do the upscaling and versions of and zooming out and stuff in Midjourney itself. But then once I have my image, which is typically just a square, right? And I believe it's like 1048 by 1048 maybe. And then I will take that into Photoshop, and if I'm doing a wide like the 16 by 9 or a 1920 by 1080, you just set it in the middle. You can literally just select. You could just grab the rectangle tool and just select the blank space and just hit generate. And a lot of times I will put a prompt, but you don't have to. You can just hit generate and it'll just figure it out. And it's pretty nuts. And honestly, if I'm just expanding for the purpose of resolution, I usually don't even put in a prompt. I usually just have it figure it out. Being here live at an end. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Bionic Blonde, but maybe you can make it next time. New Night Cafe and then edit them. Yeah, Stable Diffusion is free and open source for now. And there's Disco Diffusion, which is free and open source. And then the new one is like, I think the new one is like the SD. What's that thing? The SDXL. Stability AI. It's going to get nuts. Oh, that's a new Stable Diffusion based model. Best part of the week. Speaking of best part of the week, because here we are, we find ourselves in chat. What was everybody's best part of the week? Let me think of mine. Let me figure out what it was. Well, I'll tell you what it wasn't. It definitely wasn't mowing, because ye gads, boy howdy. I feel like today has been pretty good, just in general, I finished my lawn yesterday, so I didn't have to worry about it today, which was great because it rained today. And then went and shot an episode this afternoon. Came home, just spent some time with my wife, and did the pod. So I guess that this is just the best part. Years ago, all we had was pencils and paper, and we liked it. Missed every bard advice. Oh, no. Ooh, well, that's fun. You'll be changing to an earlier shift. So does that mean you'll be able to get off and join us for the whole thing? Well, we look forward to that. Booking your next heart surgery. Sun running water deep. Whoa, that's cool. Took your wife to see Oppenheimer Thursday. Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about Barbieheimer. That dude, Barbie. Justin said he's going to see Oppenheimer. I don't know if I could do Oppenheimer, like at least at the theater. I'll probably watch it at my house. Let's see. Flint got to write a new archetype for one of the classes your partner and you were writing, and it's turning out nicely, and the partner loves the idea. Sweet. Chris, tonight's session, my sister took over for DMing the next section of our campaign. She's taken us to the realm of the series, the 10th Kingdom. I'm playing a house elf that was in service to the queen. Cool. Best part was laughing about your truck breaking down. Wow, well, you're better than me. I'm not able to do that. Sorry to hear about that. 2 nights ago was cool enough to shut off the AC and open the windows, and we got to listen to a cricket. Wow. It's been, the weather's just been so insane here. I just don't understand. Can't even go outside. And I've got to. Shopping for the big breakfast. Oh, well, that's fun. Brick oven peanut butter and jelly pizza with fresh fruit. Whoa. Brick oven peanut butter and jelly pizza. Now that's a one I've not heard of before. Is the hurricane still stalled off the coast? I don't know. Man. And I think there's like 3 of them out there. And I'll say too, I'm a bit concerned about the temperature of the water, not because I'm not going in the ocean anyways, dude. Between the orcas and the sharks, the cocaine sharks, the hot water. But the bigger concern is October, right? Because rather just, these next couple of months as we get heavy into the bulk of hurricane season, because all that hot air is going to yank those things up here. And I am in Jacksonville, so I'm in kind of a spot that we kind of get lucky a lot, because usually even if we do get hit straight on, it's coming up. Well, wait a minute. I'm trying to orient myself. If it's coming up from the Gulf, then it hits it hits the southwest and comes up. So by the time it gets to us, it's usually slowed down. If it's coming at us from the other way, it usually will either hit the center of the state and pass us completely, and where we'll just get some bands of it, or it gets yanked out back into the ocean and it doesn't hit us at all. But all of that's to say, usually it's when hurricanes sit on top of us and rain that it's been bad for us in the last decade or two. Of course, there was that one a year or two ago that was rough, but I'm freaked out about it a little bit. And I'm sure that lots of people that are in more precarious situations with their homes than I am are freaked out. What with insurance and all of the stuff going. It stormed for a couple hours today. Felt great for about 20 minutes till about 20 minutes after it stopped. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is that it's either it's either Jumanji rain or it's 115 degrees. And there is no in between. And that is the worst, is that when it's already hot and then it rains and then it stops raining and then it's just so much humidity. You can't stand it. They either turn and hit Louisiana or smashes us in the face. Had pouring thunderstorm for a few hours here in Pennsylvania. Yeah, the cocaine sharknado. Cokenado. It's really sad and scary, but I think the sharks are kind of acting weird already. Their behavior's already kind of messed up because orcas are on one. They're just like taking over the ocean completely. Yeah, it rained today. I guess it did kind of storm today, but then it was kind of off, and yeah, I guess it got pretty hot again pretty quick. DFW is under burn bans in Texas. Yeah, I saw that places in like Europe, aren't places like Greece and like Sweden, like fires are just spontaneously happening because it's so hot? How does it pour down rain to be 110 degrees? I was watching it vaporize as hit the road. That's so crazy. Yeah, and then the sun showers we get are so wild, where it's just like torrential downpour, and it's like I'm looking at the sun. It's just, I don't know. It's cognitive dissonance, I guess, because it doesn't make sense in your own head. But, you know, that might be true. But you know what? Through it all, we've got this podcast, you know? No matter, they can't take this from us. No matter what goes on with all of this stuff, whoever's going to take over the world, whether it's like Elon Musk or Ron DeSantis or whoever's the powers that be that are going to lead us down this road of terms and conditions into our doom as we trounce through this late stage capitalism, we have Bard Advice. Next. Don't need to go into the ocean. Don't you have alligators in the drainage ditches? We have alligators everywhere. That's the thing about that. They're just everywhere. They're in pools. They're in retention ponds. They're everywhere. You can't go anywhere. All right. Wow. I can't believe we already did it. Is it still illegal? I don't think so. And only because it appears that his popularity is not what it once was. So it's less of a concern lately. But don't know. We'll see. So many gators in Florida, people have to use them to rob stores. That's true. We have an alligator farm. It's not far from my house, actually. I probably get there in about 45 minutes. Yeah, and that's true, River. It is illegal for you to drive here, because you would have a driver's license that is not valid in our state. Saltwater cracks, or do you get them? In the OZ, we get saltwater crocs. We do have some saltwater crocodiles in Florida, but they're not here naturally. They were put there. But they exist. That's a thing, actually. That's kind of a problem that people don't realize, in fact. Saltwater crocs, Florida. Yeah, this says there's no such thing as a Florida saltwater crocodile, but yeah, crocodiles are in the Everglades, so definitely they're down there. No one is here naturally. Yeah, that's a good point. That's true. Oh, all right. Well, here we are, gang. We're at the end. I don't know how this happens every week, but I like it. I'm digging it. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. Before we get out of here, let's remind everyone again, please, to send your questions, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques, compliments, bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. You can get merchandise at manshorts.com. You can contribute to what I'm doing musically on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo by contributing directly to Yazik. And I will be back here next week, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming on the Mann Schwartz YouTube channel. The audio for this podcast will be available tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, share, do all of the things. And we will look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a good one.